Alright, what's going on everyone? So today I'm going to be doing a PvZ2 plant tier list. I've been playing this game since like 2014, so I've pretty much gotten to use like all these plants and form an opinion on them. So I figured why not do a tier list on them. Before I start though, I'm not going to really be taking leveling into account because some plants are garbage at level 1 and awesome at level 10. And it's kind of hard to judge when all the plants are like at max level or just high level in general because they're all kind of broken. So I'm really only going to be judging them by like their first like two levels, maybe not even at all. So, and I've also taken into account of eliminating the mints because they're kind of different from all the rest of the plants. They're not like bad. That's not why they're below F. I just don't know where I would put them on a tier list. So yeah, let's get started here. So the AKE. This is a weird plant, but I think it's pretty good. It's B tier. It hits multiple zombies in a lane. It does a better job than some piercing plants, but it's not the best, but it's an okay plant. Aloe, they recently buffed him because as of making this video, I think an update was released like a couple days ago. They buffed Aloe a little bit, so I don't know how exactly good he is now. But I think I'll throw him in D because the buffs don't seem like they changed very much, but it's nice that they did change him. But I just don't think he's practical enough. I feel like if they slowed or increased his recharge or decreased his recharge, sorry, he would be a better plant. But I don't know. I just feel like with the walnut first aid upgrade, which you get when you are beating Wild West, which means you can plant like uh, wall plants on top of each other to restore their health. It kind of like makes this guy a little redundant, but he's okay, I guess. Not really good though. Apple Mortar, I'm a little biased toward, but I'll put in B above AKEE though. Um, he attacks three lanes, he stuns, and he does a little above average damage, I'd say. Yeah, he's a pretty good plant. He's might be outclassed. He's definitely better than Three Peter though. Considering the fact that he does more damage than Three Peter is a lobbing plant, which means he ignores obstacles and costs less. So I don't really know what they were thinking when they made this plant, but whatever. Banana. I think I'll put him in A for now because there's a plant later that completely outclasses him, but he's still a really good plant. The 500 sun cost doesn't really matter in this game because sun cost just doesn't matter. You get sun really easily. Yeah, his damage is great. He's a manual plant, which is amazing. So yeah, he's a really strong plant. Bloomerang, I'm going to be honest, I loved this guy when I was younger, but I'm honestly going to put him in F. I know I would probably get a lot of hate for this, but I don't see the use for him when there's so many better plants that do his job. There's AKE, there's Laser Beam, there's Snapdragon, there's Fume Shroom. Like, so many piercing plants are just straight up better than this guy. And he's a hefty 175 sun cost, and his damage really is not the best. So, yeah, I'll put him here. Blooming Heart, I'm also going to put in F. Probably worse than... Actually, I'll move Bloomerang to top of D, considering he's still useful. I'm going to... The non-useful... Like, the plants you really can't use at all, I'm going to be putting in F. Yeah, Blooming Heart, it's a cool concept, but it just doesn't work. I don't understand what the point of this plant is. Its damage grows over time, but you have to keep hitting that zombie with this plant. It just doesn't work, in my opinion. Blover is S. Anytime there's an airborne zombie, you can bring this thing to completely make them redundant. 50 sun, fast recharge, and really nothing more needs to be said. Pomegranate, I'm gonna put in A. Because there's a plant that outclasses it, but it's still a really good plant. It's an S tier plant, but since it's outclassed, I gotta put it a little lower. Its seeds it leads behind I don't find very useful, so I kind of just find Cherry Bomb to almost be as useful as Pomegranate. And plus, this thing's $5, so there's really no point in buying this guy. Bong Choi, I'm gonna put in like top of B. He's really good. He does good melee damage. You kind of need a walnut if you want to use him, but I don't know. I think every time I use him, I always find him really good for some reason. I don't know why. He's a really good plant. He's not like good as like the S and A tier plants, but he's pretty solid, especially for how early you get him in the game. Bowling Bulb, my opinions change about this guy all the time. I'm gonna put him in like, I don't know, man. Maybe D, top of D, because yes, he costs 200 sun. Yes, the stupid fact that the lowest damaging bulb recharges before the highest and the medium damage dealing ones, and his rather slow fire rate bring him down a lot, but the fact he like bounces all over the screen and can do a decent amount of damage, and if you use something like a jalapeno in the lane where the bowling bulb is, it gives a chance for the big bulbs to grow back, which they do a lot of damage even at level 1. So yeah, I'll put him in D though, because he's kind of not really useful, but he's not like useless. Cabbage Pole, I'll put in D. He's better than Pea Shooter. I'll stand by that fact because of his plant food. Yeah, other than that, he's your basic attacking plant, but not really much to say. Cactus is a weird one. I'll put him. I think he's slightly better than AKEE. He's a piercing plant, or she, whatever the hell. I don't know. Does a good job at its job. It turns into a spike weed, which I think is cool, and got a recent buff where it can pop balloon zombies, which God knows why it didn't have that before, but yeah, it's an alright plant. Cauliflower, I hate this plant, but I gotta put it in S. It instantly kills a random zombie and makes a zombie fight for you. It's an upgrade to Electric Blueberry, basically. Yeah, it's a really strong plant. The only thing really holding it back is its randomness and its recharge, but that's not enough for it to not be S tier, in my opinion. Celery is a really good plant. I think slightly overrated because of its DPS, but oops. But it's still like a pretty good early game option for taking out like early game bucket heads while you get up stronger plants. Yeah, I think it's pretty useful. Charge Guard, honestly, like I'm not a big fan of defensive plants, but this guy's grown on me. I'm gonna put him in S because for 75 sun, he knocks back zombies 3 times in a pretty good distance too. And once all of his leaves are exhausted, he has like about a little over a third of the health of a walnut, which is still a really good amount. And in that time, you could just plant another one on top of him, restoring all of his leaves. He is an insane stalling plant. I think even a little underrated, in my opinion. Cherry Bomb, I'm going to put right below Pomegranate. They're basically the same plant since the seeds on Pomegranate don't matter much. Like I said earlier, Cherry Bomb's also an S tier plant. There's just another one that outclasses them both. So, yeah. Chili Bean, it's your average insta-killing plant. Stuns all the zombies behind it. I think other stalling plants do it a little better, but yeah. It's a solid overall. Chomper's a weird one, considering there's like, I don't know, 3 plants that are just better than it. I'll put it in C though, because its recent buffs are pretty good, where it can eat more than one zombie, and its chewing speed is greatly reduced. Yeah, it's a pretty solid plant now, but like I said, there's like 3-4 plants that are just Chomper but better now, so it's a little sad. Citron, I love Citron. He's possibly one of the best plant food effects in the game, although they nerfed it so it doesn't one-shot Gargantuars, but it's still very notable. However, it's kind of outclassed by Coconut Cannon. The fact Citron isn't manual really hurts it in my opinion because you can't really control it, and it ends up killing basic zombies when if you use something like Coconut Cannon, for example, you can wait until powerful zombies in front of the cannon to fire it. Which is why I'm going to put this, I think, top of B. It's a pretty good plant, but I think Banana does it a little bit better. However, I think Citron still is the better plant food out of all three of them. But it's worse, though, in every other way. Cold Snapdragon's S. I mean, it does good damage. It slows zombies to a crawling speed. You don't even need walnuts, pretty much. As long as you have some other damage outputting source, it's really good. Wow. Dandelion I really like, but I just can't put it above D. It's kind of low damage, and its slow fire rate and travel speed with its slow recharge and rather decent high sun cost, I just don't see it being very useful. I love this plant, but man, it just feels really bad, especially at level 1. Dusclover, I'm going to put in A. I'm going to be honest, I really don't see the overpoweredness of Dusclover. I understand that it's really good, but I think it's slightly overrated. It's just not what people say it is. Like, I use it and I'm like, well, I feel like it should be doing more damage according to what some people say, but yeah, it's still a really good plant area of effect. 3 lanes when powered up. That's another thing, it needs some Moonflower, but nonetheless a really good plant. This is a weird one, Electric Blueberry. I'll put it at the bottom of A since it's worse than Cauliflower, but it's still a secondary damaging source for the zombies where it just one-shots anything, and it can one-shot Gargantuars, although that's random, which brings it down a little bit, but it's still a nice secondary attacking plant. You can run with some other strong attacking plant like Fire Pea Shooter. Electric Current's bad. It got buffed, which I thought it was pretty good, but then they nerfed the knockback of it, which is what happened in its buff, so I find it doesn't even knock back or lane switch the zombies anymore, and I just don't find it being very useful. Electric Pea Shooter, I might be a little biased towards, but I'm going to put it in S. I have it as my cursor, as you can probably see. It pierces through all zombies on the screen. It deals with chickens very well. It can't be parried by like any zombie. It does damage to multiple lanes. There's nothing really more you could ask for from a plant. Peach, it's useful when you need it, but you don't need it all the time. And honestly, you don't need it for the mechs necessarily, but it just helps you assist very well with the mechs. So I'll put it like here. It's still useful. Enduring is kind of... I like it. I'll put him at bottom of the B because he's pretty useful, but he could be better. There's just better defensive plants to use over him too, but yeah, he's an okay plant. Escape Root, I'm going to actually put in the middle of B because while his swamping plant ability isn't very useful, the fact that he does turn into like a grape shot or a cherry bomb when zombies step up to him is actually pretty nice. So yeah, I'd put him in the middle of B. Explodonut, I'll put him bottom of A. People say he's a 50 Sun Cherry Bomb, but you can't really control when he goes off, so he might not destroy as many zombies as you want. So that's why he's here, I guess. He's still a really good plant, though. Fire Pea, I don't care what people say about him being overrated. He's a really good plant. I'll put him here. He's not any higher than that, but I'm not counting leveling into this, as I said, but when you level him up, he becomes insane. But yeah, he's still a really good plant, better than Repeater, I'd say. Fume Shroom, honestly, a really solid plant. A little outclassed by Laser Bean, maybe Snapdragon, especially Cold Snapdragon. But this plant food's really good, and yeah, his piercing is still very useful. He has a lower sun cost than Laser Bean too, which makes him a little bit more useful in some cases. But yeah, he's a pretty solid plant. Garlic's F, I don't really need to explain that. There's no... So the only time you're using Garlic is with Electric Current, and Electric Current's already a bad plant, so yeah. I love Garlic too, but I'm sorry. Ghost Pepper, a solid plant, man. I really like this thing. Really good kind of insta-kill plant, and that explosion it does at the end does a pretty good amount of damage too. Good for the early game. Gold Bloom, one of the best plants in the game. Instant 375 sun. Self-explanatory. So they made Gold Leaf recently available to use in all worlds, but they made his recharge 60 seconds, which really hurts it in my opinion. It's just not as good as you'd think anymore. It's still free sun, but you cannot get that many gold tiles down in a game now. Like, if you beat a level in 3 minutes, which is probably about the average amount for a normal level, you can only get 3 of these things down. So is it really helping you that much? I don't know. Goo Pea Shooter. Yeah, it's a pea shooter that basically has the Shadow Shroom effect, which is poison. So, you know, it's a good effect. Can't go wrong with it. Grape Shot, one of the best plants in the game. Probably better than Gold Bloom, honestly. Does what Cherry Bomb does, but explodes grapes all over the place, which do an absurd amount of damage and can one-shot Gargantuars. So, yeah, enough said. Gravebuster I'm going to put in C because he's useful, but honestly, you don't really need him, if I'll be honest. You can kind of just deal without the Graves. Grimrose is a weird plant. I'll put him in top of C because he does do like 3 insta-kills when you power him with a Moonflower, but 75 sun, I mean, I don't know. I feel like you could use that 75 sun for better things. Guacodile, a really good plant. I'm honestly going to put him in... I'm going to put him top of B. People use him wrong. People use him like a pea shooter that does a little attack when he gets eaten, but I use him tactically. So you plant him on top of a zombie, and he's a 125 sun cost, 5-second recharge, pretty much kind of insta-kill plant. But yeah, you could do a lot of damage with just a few of these guys in a few seconds, so I think that makes him really good. Holly Barrier, yeah, it's pretty good. Put him here. Yeah, nothing really need to say about him. He just stalls pretty good, knocks zombies back. Yeah, good plant. Homing Thistle, I'll put him in top of C. He's not a bad plant per se, but his slow recharge, I don't know. I just don't find him very useful. If you use him as a secondary attacker, he's not the worst, but I just never really see a reason to use him. Hot Date, I just don't understand this guy. I mean, he's a good plant. I'll put him, like, down here. But I feel like if you want to use him, just use a jalapeno. It's cheaper. Yes, it doesn't attract zombies from other lanes, but who cares? Hot Potato, now if leveling was taken into consideration, he'd be way higher because of his ability to melt octopus, but nah, he's not really useful, even in his like home world. Actually, I'll put him like right here. Yeah, Hurricane's an S tier plant, one of the best plants in the game. Blows zombies back to the start in its lane, chills them. It's a perfect lane reset for 100 sun and a rather quick recharge. You can't go wrong with him. He's great in Jurassic Marsh. There's nothing really that needs to be explained. Hypnoshroom isn't as bad as people say, but I'm going to put him in bottom of B. His plant food ability is really good, but he's still 125 sun. But if you have a good zombie eat him, he does good damage, I guess. And if you use him on a level with Graves too, that's pretty good because the zombie will eat all the Graves. So, yeah, he's okay. Iceberg lettuce. I'll put it in A. I recognize it's a good plant. It's free. It's free stalling, but it's a little overrated and outclassed by Stunyon in my opinion. But its plant food's really good, so you know. Imitator is a weird one. It's useful, but there's no reason you'll ever need him. It's kind of like Power Lily, where you don't really need extra plant food. So, but if you use them with like Gold Bloom, yes, you get a free 700 sun, but that's just overkill at that point. Infinite, I'll put at top of A because his plant food is one of the best in the game. However, the plant itself is not actually that good, but I feel like for its plant food alone, it should be this high. Maybe a little low. You know, I'll put him like here. Intensive Carrot, I feel like gets a bad rep because you could use him with like Chili Bean to like effectively half the recharge, and Hypno Shroom, which actually saves Sun because Intensive Carrot costs less than Hypno Shroom. I hate the argument of if you lose a high expensive Sun plant, you're bad at the game because, you know, stuff happens. You lose plants by accident. Sometimes an imp will get into your defense and eat your Wintermelon. It happens. So I'm going to put him top of D. I'll put him in C. I find him useful. A little overhated in my opinion. Jacko is S. Insane DPS. Its recharge hurts a little bit, but honestly, I feel like that doesn't matter as much as some other plants, considering it's insane DPS. You don't even need a walnut to help it, pretty much. Jalapeno, you know, your average insta-kill plant that kills all zombies in a lane, pretty much. Good for taking out the imp and the Gargantuar. Yeah, good plant. Kernel Pool, I don't know. I'll put it in bottom B. Its butter is good, but it's RNG, and I feel like there's better plants that do it better than it, honestly. Kiwi Beast is a weird plant. It's alright, I guess. I'll put it here. I don't know where to put this thing, honestly. It just confuses me. That could be anywhere else. I don't know. I don't use them. Laser Beam is bottom of... I'll put him here. Yes, he attacks slow. Yes, he has a 200 sun recharge, or cost. But he attacks all zombies in the lane. Isn't blocked by anything as far as I'm concerned. His plant food ability is amazing. Yeah, really good. Lava Guava, a little bit worse than, Ghost Pepper, in my opinion. That lasting lava pool, if you can get like a walnut and the plant in front of it and put the Lava Guava in front of it when you're attacking a Gargantuar, that lava damage will add up really fast. So I think he's a little bit underrated. Oh boy. I'm not gonna spend 10 years arguing as to what Lightning Reed is. You guys can all have your own opinions on him. I'll put him like here. He's good for taking out chickens. He's spammable, but there's better options. Lily Pad, necessary for Big Wave Beach. Garbage anywhere else. Magna Shroom, pretty useful, but really not necessary. But, you know, he's good support. Put him there. Magnifying Grass is one of the best plants in the game. High damage. It's a manual plant. Really good. Marigold, I'll just put him in the men's section for now. Melon Pole is a really good plant, but, Wintermelon exists, so. Mistletoe is just a better banana launcher, so I'll put her here. Does what banana launcher does, but chills the zombies, so, yeah. Moonflower, I despise this thing, but it's good. Its slow recharge hurts it as a sun producer, but it also powers up shadow plants, so that's the saving grace of it, I think. Nightshade is garbage. I'll never see the use of this thing. When unpowered, it's awful. When powered, I don't understand why you would ever power it when you could just save up a little more sun for a Duscalobber. So I don't know. Parsnip is a pretty useful plant. It's kind of like bok choy, but it's a little better because it does like a Guacodile attack when it's eaten. So yeah, I'll put it like here. Peanut is pretty bad. It's a walnut and a pea shooter together for 150 sun, but it's just not good because if you put it in the front, the pea shooter part is kind of useless. If you put it in the back, the defensive part of it is useless. So what's the point of it? Pea pod, I'll honestly put in like bottom of C. It's not very useful. It's nice on levels where you don't have a lot of planting space because you can put pea pods and then a row of torchwoods in front of it and pretty much win the level. But other than that, not very useful. Pea shooter, your average attacking plant. Worse than cabbage pult. Pepper pult. Its reach. I really want to put it like higher, but its recharge kills it, so I gotta put it here. But I like everything else about the plant though. Perfume shroom. Now that it's usable in other worlds, honestly, really useful plant. Its recharge sucks, yeah, but you can refresh it with plant food, and just having a zombie on your or dinosaur on your side for a while is pretty useful. So you know what? I'll put it top of C. It's not bad. Fat beet's terrible. Yeah, honestly, I don't understand what the idea of the plant is. Its range is short. It's too expensive. It doesn't do enough damage, in my opinion. So yeah, potato mine is okay, but there's so many other plants better than it. Power lily, I already discussed it. It's the same as the imitator. A plant food is nice, but you don't really need extra plant food. For 175 sun too. Primal pea shooter, solid plant, knocks zombies back. Its slow fire rate is kind of harsh, but yeah, it's still a really good plant. Primal potato mine, one of the best plants in the game. Essentially a 50 sun cherry bomb. Yeah. It's really useful, and it recharges quicker too. Primal sunflower, one of the best sun producers. I'll put it here. I think that's a good spot for it. Primal walnut, the best defensive plant in the game. I'll put it, I think maybe like here. Also, Hurricane is better than Blubber. Puff shroom, it's still a little useful. But the nerf since the first game made it a lot less useful, so I'll put it there. Red Stinger is a better repeater. Objectively, it's cheaper, and it does around the same damage. And the defensive part is nice, I guess, but you're never really going to use it. So I'll just put it like here. And then repeater is really overrated. It's top of C tier. It's outclassed by Fire Pea Shooter, Goo Pea Shooter, Primal Pea Shooter, Red Stinger. There's just so many better plants than it. I'm sorry. Rutabaga is useful. A little bit overrated in my opinion. Good in Big Wave Beach. Good in those levels with tiles that switch the lanes of the zombies. But yeah, I don't really find the use for this thing that much. But I'll put it like around here. Also, I feel bad having Fume Shroom this low. I'm gonna move him honestly up a little bit more. Maybe below these guys though. Sapling, I love Sapling. I think he's overhated. The stalling part of it is good. He's purely meant to being a stalling plant for 75 sun. That's not bad. I'll put him below Fume Shroom. He's about as useful as Fume Shroom, I'd say. Shadow Shroom, honestly, I'll put him bottom of A. Better than Iceberg, actually. It's a good insta-kill plant. It's good for taking out heavy health zombies, and its plant food's amazing. Shadow Pea is honestly just better than Laser Beam. It's a little cheaper. You need Moonflower, but I feel like it's better in almost every way. Plus, the plant food is really good. And it slows the zombies too, which Laser Beam does not do, but yeah. Shrinking Violet, one of the best plants in the game, I'd argue. It has the HP of all zombies affected by it, which is great. It removes so many threats from the game, like you don't understand how good it is. Sling Pea is kind of like Homing Thistle. I don't find it to be that useful, but I haven't used it much, so I'm going to put it here, but it could be higher. Snap Pea is better than Chomper, albeit a little bit more expensive, but the head that it shoots out is actually does a good amount of damage, so I like it. And it has infinite range, so that's nice. Snapdragon I'll put like here. It does good damage. It needs a little support. And those stupid fire imps counter it so hard, but those don't appear much in levels. So yeah, good plant. Snow Pea with this buff, honestly, I'd say is one of the better pea shooters now. It's incredible because the fact it can freeze zombies and it has an area effect too is nuts. It's absolutely nuts in my opinion. So I think this is one of the better pea shooters now. Maybe Fire Pea's a little better than it. These guys can be interchanged, but yeah. Solar Tomato is not really necessary, but if you need it, it really helps you. It stalls zombies for 100 sun, plus it's just free sun production. It's better than Gold Leaf. As long as you're stunning more than 2 zombies, it gives you free sun. Spike Rock is okay, but I don't find him ever being that useful. Yeah, I don't know. Like, its higher sun cost really hurts it in my opinion, but it's an okay plant. Spikeweed's better. You can just spam a bunch of Spikeweed instead. Put it here. It's a good secondary damage dealer. It gets rid of the weak zombies, so your attacking plants can focus on the higher HP zombies, which is really nice. Split Pea is honestly underrated. I find using him more than I actually think I do. So I'm going to put him in like bottom of B because he's useful in like Jurassic Marsh, Wild West, even modern day to extend. So yeah, solid plant. Spore Shroom, I really love this plant. You can, if you manage to get like a full row of these out, the amount of spam that you can get out of these guys is insane. It's better than Lightning Raid actually. Like, I know spam doesn't equal good plant, but the fact it just creates new plants from destroyed zombies is really nice, in my opinion. Yeah, it's a really good plant. It can overwhelm the zombies really easily. Actually, I'll move it a little bit higher. I really like this guy. Spring Bean is top of D. It's terrible in every world except Pirate Seas, but it's the best plant in Pirate Seas because of its plant food ability to knock every zombie, including Gargantuars, into the water. So that's why it's actually, yeah, I'll put it in bottom of D, but it's useful in Pirate Seas. I'll give it that. Squash is honestly one of the best insta-kill plants in the game. I'll put it in bottom of S because of its versatility and stuff. It's cheap, 50 sun. It's great. It's a great plant. Stalia I don't like too much, but I recognize it's a good plant. But I'll put it above Chili Bean because it's a free stall. But I feel like other plants do it better, like Iceberg Lettuce's plant food. What is this thing called? Starfruit, sorry. Starfruit is better than Split Pea, so yeah, gotta be a little higher than that. Planting a bunch of these guys down really can overwhelm the zombies, kind of like Spore Shroom. So yeah, useful plant. Strawburst. It's okay. I find it to be a little underwhelming, but it's all right. It's kind of slow at charging, but I understand it's good. Stunnion is probably the best stalling plant in the game. It's S tier. Affects multiple zombies in a column or whatever, a tile, for 25 sun for a good amount of time. Longer than Iceberg Lettuce. Affects multiple zombies. No said. Sunshroom is in the same boat as Primal Sunflower, although I like it better, but you can interchange those. Sunbeam is useful, but not necessary. It's just don't use it over Solar Tomato, pretty much. Underrated plant, though, I think. Normal Sunflower, you can never go wrong with it. It's the normal Sunflower. It's kind of redundant because of these two, but You can never go wrong with it. Sweet potato I find terrible. Personally, I don't understand the point of this plant. Like, attracting zombies to it is cool, but why? It's 150 sun. That just feels so expensive for doing that. Tall nut is worse than walnut in my opinion, but I recognize it's an okay plant, so I'll put it like here. Tangle kelp, it's a terrible insta-kill plant, but it's okay for Big Wave Beach, so I'll put it below potato mine. Well, that's the only place you can use it, but you know. Three-peater, it's kind of in the same boat as repeater, but I'll put it slightly higher because I find it's like attacking in 3 lanes to be more useful than repeater, attacking twice in 1 lane. Time Warp, now that it can be used in every world, is one of the best plants in the game, I'd argue. Having the ability to reset all zombies is incredible and should not be overlooked. Yes, it refills their health, but I don't care. It doesn't matter. You're sending all the zombies back to the start, and you have time to rebuild your defense and recover from any mistake that you need that happened. So yeah, really good plant. Tile Turnip, it's not really useful, but I recognize it can be good. Especially in adventure mode, you just never need it. Honestly, I'll just knock it down to D. Toadstool is pretty useful. I'd say it's better than Snappy because of its sun-producing things. Yeah. Torchwood is a good plant. You know, it causes your pea shooters to be on fire. So, yeah, useful plant. Although it's expensive to use, but whatever. Twin Sunflower, I despise this plant. It's a terrible sun producer, but in the end of the day, it's still a sun producer, so gotta give it that. It's slow recharge and high sun cost, though I can't stand. Walnut's just slightly better than Tall Nut, in my opinion. The other defensive plants just outclass them. Wasabi Whip's a better bok choy. I'll put it in, like, here, because its DPS can be really good. Wintermelon's an S tier plant. There's really no debating that. Yes, it's 500 sun, but it does incredibly high damage. And then Witch Hazel. Witch Hazel's a weird plant, but I'll put it like here because it creates pushrooms, which can be free stall. It's kind of nice, and it insta kills a lot of zombies, but it's high sun cost and high recharge kind of hurt it, but it's an okay plant. So yeah, guys, this is officially my PVZ2 plant tier list. Let me know what you think. I'm sure a lot of these plants can be interchanged, but yeah, I think this is pretty good. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out.